Olivia froze in the entryway to the karaoke bar. The sound of Monica's voice somewhere so unexpected made her heart stop and her knees lock in place. "Olivia, I thought that was you," Monica continued as she made her way through the crowd towards Olivia. "What are you doing here?" "Just leaving, actually," Olivia responded curtly. Millie and Lena exchanged glances. They knew Monica was a bit of a conniving brat and understood why Olivia was shutting down upon seeing her. "That's too bad." Monica frowned as if she had really been looking forward to spending an evening with her loving older sister. "I just got here with some friends. I was hoping you were staying, too." Olivia looked towards the group of friends Monica referenced and shuddered when she saw Mark DeLillo standing there. Of course, Olivia thought to herself. Mark would try to get closer to Monica so that he could get to me. What an obvious move. Mark noticed Olivia then and smiled widely, waving at her from where he stood. He began walking towards Olivia and her classmates. "Hey, Olivia, fancy seeing you here." Olivia wondered for a moment if it was just a coincidence that Mark should be here, or if he had somehow planned this run-in. But there was no way. Olivia hadn't planned on being here tonight, and besides, this wasn't a karaoke bar she had been to regularly. She was just being paranoid. There was no way Mark could have known this would happen. "I was just getting to know your little sister Monica." Mark clapped a hand on Monica's back in a brotherly way. "She's such a delight." Monica smiled up at Mark as demurely as she could possibly manage. Watching Monica and Mark like this made Olivia sick. In her previous life, Monica had always been jealous of her for having any kind of male attention. But she had let Olivia know that she thought Mark was ugly and totally below her. Much better suited for Olivia, who she believed would never be able to do better than Mark. Now here she was in this life, sucking up to Mark and trying to impress him for whatever reason Olivia was sure had to do with her somehow. "Are you guys here for karaoke as well?" Mark asked hopefully. "No, we're actually just leaving." Olivia turned her back on the two, hoping the rest of her class would follow suit and exit the karaoke place with her. "Yeah, man, we wanted to stay, but they're all out of rooms," Zach Colston added, and Olivia clenched her fists. She didn't want to prolong this interaction any longer than she had to. At this information, Monica looked up at Mark with a twinkle in her eye. "Mark, do you think that maybe we could invite Olivia and her friends to join us since you already have a room booked?" Mark beamed back at Monica. "I think that's a great idea." He turned to Olivia and the rest of her classmates. "Why don't you guys join us in our room?" Olivia saw the excitement on the faces of her classmates and quickly interjected. "Oh no, we definitely wouldn't fit." Mark waved his hand. "Of course you would. We were expecting way more people to come, so I got us the extra large room." Olivia looked around at her classmates who were waiting for her to make the final decision. "Come on," Mark continued pleading. "It'll be fun." Olivia knew how much her classmates wanted to join in on Mark's room. After all, the extra-large karaoke rooms were always the nicest and often included free refreshments and snacks. She didn't want to be the reason they had a bad night. Plus, she had already come to the conclusion that there was no way Mark nor Monica could have known she would be here tonight. Although it went against Olivia's better judgment, she didn't want to let down her class. She sighed, turning to fully face Monica and Mark. "Fine, I guess we'll join you guys." "Oh, yay!" Monica jumped up and down as if getting to do karaoke with her older sister had been a lifelong dream that was finally coming true. Her performance was so saccharine, it practically gave Olivia a cavity just to watch it. "All right," Sam Feinstein cheered. "I've always wanted to score one of the extra-large rooms at a place like this." "Well, come on then. They're just about finished setting up the room and then we can head on in." Mark smiled. Then he led the group toward the back. Millie and Lena waited back for Olivia, concerned for their friend. Millie tugged at Olivia's arm. "Liv, are you sure you want to do this? The three of us could just go back to Lena's. We don't have to stay." "Yeah, I just got a new game in. I'd be happy to play that instead," Lena suggested. Olivia smiled at her friends. She was lucky to have people in her life who were so understanding. But she also knew that this was Millie's favorite karaoke place in the entire city. And she knew how much Lena had been looking forward to this since Olivia suggested the idea in the first place. She didn't want to let her friends down. "It's fine, it's just one night of us singing badly, right?" Olivia joked, linking arms with her friends. "Right," Millie and Lena agreed. Suddenly, they heard a voice behind them. "So are we going in or not?" The three friends jumped, then turned to find Camilla and Cameron Pell standing stick straight behind them, smiling creepily. Yeah, we're going," Olivia answered, wrinkling her brow at the twins. She couldn't remember if they had been at the restaurant earlier, but she didn't think they had. They were always appearing suddenly and silently, and it made Olivia extremely uncomfortable. She stepped aside, letting the Pell twins pass ahead so she could whisper to Lena and Millie. "Those guys always give me the heebie-jeebies." "Me too," Lena agreed, and the three girls giggled as they made their way back toward Mark's private karaoke room. Inside the karaoke room, Olivia's classmates and Mark DeLillo's friends were already in an argument over who would get a chance at the microphone first. "There are more of us, so we should get to go first," Zach Colston argued. "It only makes sense if we have two of us go, then one of you, until everyone has had a turn. There may be more of you, but we all have way more money than any of you." An arrogant boy in Mark's friend group sneered. "You want to bet?" Sam Feinstein retorted, puffing his chest out towards the boy. Upon entering, Olivia, Millie, and Lena exchanged a look. "Maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all," Millie suggested. Just then, a waitress entered from the main room with a bar cart filled with champagne and glasses for the friends to enjoy. Clearly, Mark had booked this room with a fake ID. The girls watched as both Mark's friends and their classmates surrounded the bar cart, eager to get a glass of the expensive, bubbly liquid. "At least it'll stop the fighting for a while," Millie shrugged, then turned to her friends. "Do you guys want some?" Olivia and Lena looked at one another. Normally, they did not drink at all, but tonight was a celebration, and maybe it could help take the edge off the awkward situation they found themselves in. "I guess I could do half a glass," Olivia answered. It was funny now being a teen again, after having been an adult in her previous life. The idea of getting to drink no longer held the same appeal it did when she had been a teenager before. "Me too," Lena said, then followed Millie. "I'll help you, Millie." The two girls walked off, leaving Olivia to guard a spot on the couch for them. When Mark saw her sitting there alone, he took the opportunity to swoop in. "So I'm really glad I ran into you tonight." He scooched closer to Olivia on the couch, and she crossed her legs instinctually, trying to close herself off to him as much as possible. "I didn't think I'd get to see you again before I left for Chicago." Mark purred in Olivia's ear, thinking he was being suave, when really all he was doing was making Olivia hate him more. "You know, I came by the hospital again this morning to see you and make sure you were okay after you seemed so sick after your play." Olivia looked at Mark with surprise, which he mistook as admiration. "Why did you do that?" she demanded. "I told you I wanted to see you before I had to leave. I wouldn't have been able to sleep thinking about you ailing in a hospital bed like that." Mark ran a finger lightly up the side of Olivia's bare arm, and she quickly flinched away. "Imagine my surprise when the hospital employees told me you had been released earlier than expected." Olivia turned in her seat to face Mark and to gain a bit of distance from him since he insisted on sitting so close to her. "Mark, you and I are not friends. You have no business showing up at the hospital to check on me." Mark looked hurt as if Olivia had just stomped on his heart, but she knew this was all an act. "I want to be your friend, Olivia," Mark coaxed. "Why do you insist on pushing me away? Is it because you're scared of our connection?" Mark scooted in closer to Olivia yet again, and she felt the pizza she had eaten for lunch threatening to make its way back up her throat. Olivia looked over at the champagne cart to see if her friends would be returning soon, when she caught Monica staring at her and Mark. As soon as Olivia made eye contact with Monica, she quickly looked away as if she hadn't been watching her this entire time. Olivia let out a laugh. You are so transparent, Mark DeLillo. Mark snorted. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. No, you wouldn't, would you? Olivia glanced back over at Monica. You really are too stupid to know who you should be aligning yourself with and who you should be trying to avoid. Mark followed Olivia's eyes and saw her looking at Monica. He swallowed then. Was it really that obvious what he was trying to do? Could he really be that transparent to Olivia? He thought back to the night when he had hired Otis and some of his thugs to scare Olivia so that he could rescue her. He remembered how, unexpectedly, Olivia had grabbed one of the bar chairs to defend herself, accidentally swinging it at Mark and breaking his arm. He had never been in so much pain in his entire life. Thinking back on it now, he couldn't help but wonder if it had been on purpose. Had this Olivia Johnson always known what he was up to and actually been playing him the entire time? The thought was too much for him to bear. He cleared his throat and his demeanor suddenly changed from a smooth-talking flirt to a cold and cunning manipulator. Okay, well, I'll leave you be then. Mark stood, giving Olivia one last opportunity to apologize to him and prove him wrong about his new suspicions. Bye, Mark. Nice knowing you. Olivia smiled facetiously at him, causing his face to go hot. That was it. He was done playing nice with this girl. Just then, Millie and Lena returned with their glasses of champagne. They handed one to Olivia and sat on either side of her. What was that all about? Lena asked as she and Millie watched Mark ambulate off towards Monica. Oh, nothing. Olivia sighed, then held up her glass. Cheers to good friends. The girls clinked glasses and sipped the fine champagne as Mark watched Olivia with a newfound hatred from across the room. He reached into a pocket on the inside of his jacket and then pulled out a small baggie with a few colorful pills inside. He smiled down at the baggie, then clenched his fist around it. Olivia Johnson, you just made a big mistake. Mark glanced at Olivia, and his eyes danced with a sneaky resolve. With every moment they were in the same room, his animosity towards her swelled. Olivia's knack for always being ahead frustrated him to no end. Did she really suspect his intentions? The thought made his blood boil. As Olivia's laughter echoed from a distant conversation, Mark, holding his discreet little baggie of pills, allowed one pill to slip between his fingers. Stealthily, he dropped it into the champagne flute he held. The bubbles camouflaged its descent. Mark smirked. This would ensure things went according to his plan. Distracted by his thoughts, he was caught off guard when Monica approached him. Her heels clicking against the floor made an announcement of her presence. Mark, she chirped, trying to catch his attention. Hey. Mark plastered a fake smile onto his face, shifting his weight. Monica, are you having fun? Of course. Monica's eyes sparkled with curiosity. How did your chat with Olivia go? Attempting to maintain his facade, Mark replied with feigned enthusiasm. Oh, everything with Olivia is good. Or it will be. He chuckled lightly. Monica tilted her head, her expression dubious. What's that supposed to mean? She inquired, her tone hinting at her growing suspicion. She noticed Mark's clenched jaw and the way his eyes darted to and from like he was hiding something, perhaps. Is everything really okay between you two? She said with feigned concern. Mark sighed. Olivia can be challenging. Monica rolled her eyes playfully. Tell me about it. We all know how she can be. Relieved at the change of topic, Mark's lips curled into a genuine smile, the first of the evening. Monica, always the compassionate one, was trying to empathize, to understand him. Spotting Mark's smile, Monica's own lips formed a teasing grin. You know, she began, I've always wanted to try champagne. She extended her hand, intending to take a sip from his glass. Whoa, hold on. Mark reacted swiftly, pulling the glass away. His pulse quickened. This one's for Olivia, he explained, hoping that would deter her. Monica's brows furrowed, a hint of jealousy seeping into her eyes. "Of course it is," she said, slightly biting her bottom lip. "What's so special about Olivia that everyone falls at her feet and does nice things for her?" Mark's dark eyes locked onto Monica's. It wasn't Olivia that intrigued him at the moment. He noted the slight flare of envy in Monica's words, her underlying resentment towards her older sister. Mark's thoughts rattled with excitement. If she hates Olivia this much, maybe she'll be more useful than I thought. Hoping to change the topic, Mark leaned in, lowering his voice. "This isn't just any champagne. It's special, exclusive. I have plans for Olivia tonight." Monica raised an eyebrow, her interest piqued. "Plans?" Mark smirked. "Let's just say I want her evening to be memorable." Monica's lips twitched into a sly grin. The idea of Olivia being the center of a spectacle was undeniably appealing to her. "I'm all ears." Mark leaned in closer, relishing in the unfolding drama. "This drink will ensure Olivia becomes the laughingstock of the party. She won't be able to use her charm to escape this embarrassment." Monica's eyes widened in realization, but her smile never faded. She was on board. A flash of memory made Monica's jaw tighten. She vividly remembered the excitement she had when Olivia had promised her a significant role in the school play. She remembered how that joy was short-lived, and when she was handed an apron and a tray instructed to sell snacks. No spotlight, no applause. Just the stinging shame of being reduced to a concessions girl. Olivia had betrayed her, relegating her to the shadows while Liv got to bask in the limelight. Monica's voice, infused with bitterness, broke into Mark's thoughts. "Olivia always thinks she's the star, but I can't wait to see her fall from grace. I want her to feel what I felt that day. I want her to feel all the embarrassment and the shame." Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair, revealing a momentary hint of doubt. "The plan sounds foolproof, but there's one hitch. Olivia won't accept a drink from me. She's too suspicious." Monica's eyes gleamed with mischief. She stepped closer to Mark, her gaze innocent yet calculating. "Leave that to me," she whispered, a playful smirk playing on her lips. Raising an eyebrow, Mark leaned in curious. "Oh?" Monica giggled, her voice dripping with sweetness. "I'll play the doting little sister. I'll tell her it's a peace offering, a gift from her dear younger sibling. She'll never suspect a thing." Mark's mouth curved into an approving smirk. "Monica, you're full of surprises. That's brilliant." Mark carefully handed the tainted drink to Monica, ensuring that no one saw the exchange. The glass was now a weapon of humiliation. Monica gave Mark a sly wink, the glint of mischief still in her eyes, and then began weaving her way through the sea of celebrating teenagers. Mark stood still for a moment, watching Monica's confident stride, a grin spreading across his face. In his mind, the plan was already a success. However, his moment of triumph was cut short when he felt a piercing gaze on him. The sensation was unmistakable, like a weight pressing down on his very soul. Slowly, Mark turned, his eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on the source of his unease. Standing a distance away was Cameron Pell. His sharp features were set in an expression of intense scrutiny, and his dark eyes seemed to see right through Mark's facade. A chill ran down Mark's spine. Did Cameron see the exchange? Did he know about the plan? Without breaking eye contact, Mark raised an eyebrow and tilted his head slightly, silently challenging the peculiar onlooker. It was a look that said, "I dare you to interfere." But Cameron didn't flinch. He merely stared back. Realizing that lingering would only raise more suspicions, Mark turned on his heel, making his way to another corner of the party. Hidden in a secluded corner of the bustling party, Cameron quickly turned to his sister Camilla. Cameron's fingers danced quickly and with urgency. "Did you see what that Mark guy did?" Camilla's piercing eyes never left Mark, tracking him as he blended into the crowd. She responded swiftly, her slender fingers painting her words in the air. Yes, I saw everything. Cameron's expression darkened, his signs getting sharper. That guy is sick, really twisted. Camilla nodded in agreement, signing with visible disgust. Drugging Olivia? That's beyond messed up. The Pell siblings were in quite a predicament. Their mission was clear-cut: to shadow and observe Olivia. No interventions, no disruptions, just surveillance. They'd been paid handsomely for this discretion, but the lines of their assignment were starting to blur. The situation was particularly challenging for Camilla. Olivia, with her captivating charm and mysterious allure, had unknowingly hooked her. Camilla found herself torn between her professional commitment and the personal pull she felt towards the unsuspecting girl. To merely watch as Olivia might be put in harm's way was an inner battle she hadn't anticipated. She looked at Cameron, her eyes filled with conflict. Should we just stand by and watch, or should we do something? Cameron hesitated, torn between their duty and the growing urge to step in. He signed, his movement slower, reflecting his inner turmoil. Our job is to watch, not intervene. Making her way through the crowd, Monica focused on a singular mission: delivering the drink to Olivia. With each step, she rehearsed the act in her mind, amplifying her innocent demeanor, and schooling her features into what she hoped was a genuine expression of sweetness. She needed to be the caring younger sister, the one seeking reconciliation. Olivia, Monica called out, her voice dripping with feigned excitement. I come bearing gifts. She held out the shimmering glass. Olivia's sharp eyes darted from the champagne to Monica, analyzing the situation. Monica was being sweet again, which meant she was up to something. Before responding to Monica, Olivia tapped into the thoughts of her younger sister. As Olivia tuned in, she was flooded with Monica's surface thoughts. Play nice, be sweet, make her believe. Reading Monica's intentions, Olivia's eyes narrowed, her skepticism validated. With a sardonic smile and a dismissive roll of her eyes, she took a step back, silently communicating that she wasn't buying what Monica was selling. What do you really want, Monica? Olivia's voice was steady, her gaze piercing. She might not have known about the spiked drink, but she was sure Monica was up to something. Monica took a step back, feigning pain. You always think the worst of me, she replied, a quiver in her voice. I wanted to be closer to you. Is that so wrong? Olivia's eyes flickered with suspicion. Like how you wanted to be closer when you tried to use me to land a role in the play? Monica's face reddened, and she quickly retorted. I wasn't using you for the play. Why can't you believe that I just wanted to be around my big sister? The lie rolled off her tongue smoothly, but Olivia was far from convinced. The atmosphere between them grew tense. They were like two opposing forces, pushing and pulling, neither willing to back down. You were awful, making me a concession girl, Monica spat out, her facade cracking just a bit. Olivia raised an eyebrow. I merely gave you a taste of your own medicine. It's the same game you played, just a different move. A flash of anger crossed Monica's face, but she quickly suppressed it. The hatred she felt was bubbling just beneath the surface, but she knew she had to control it. She took a deep breath, attempting to steady herself and stick to her plan. Olivia focused once again on Monica's thoughts. Like tuning into a specific radio frequency, her mental barrier softened, allowing her to hear the inner workings of Monica's mind. The words came through loud and clear. Stick to the plan, Monica. Don't let her get under your skin. Stick to the plan. Olivia's brow furrowed in concentration. What plan is she talking about? Olivia pondered. Monica's always scheming, but this feels different, deeper. What's she got up her sleeve? And why is she trying hard to make amends with me now? There's something more going on here. Questions spiraled through Olivia's mind as she continued to stare into Monica's eyes, trying to piece together the puzzle of her sister's intentions. Monica's demeanor shifted dramatically. All traces of hostility vanished as she softened her gaze, making her look vulnerable and sincere. "Look, Olivia," she began, voice quivering just slightly to enhance her act. "The only reason I ever wanted to be in that play was to be closer to you." Olivia's eyebrows knitted in confusion. "Closer to me? Why? We're sisters. We've always been close," she remarked cautiously. Monica blinked back at what looked like tears. "Ever since you moved out to live with your mom, it's been different. I miss having my big sister around. I want us to be a family again. To live under the same roof. Share the same laughs, the same memories." Olivia's guard was still up, feeling a mix of confusion and suspicion. Monica's words seemed genuine, but Olivia had seen her act too many times before. She contemplated diving into Monica's thoughts again, trying to ascertain if her little sister was playing games or being honest. But before Olivia could tap into Monica's mind, a high-pitched shriek of excitement pierced the air. "Ladies and gents, it's karaoke time!" Lena shouted as she eagerly dashed towards the stage. In her enthusiasm, Lena didn't notice Monica in her path, and she bumped into her hard. The champagne glass Monica held tipped perilously, and in an instant, some of its contents poured down the front of Monica's dress. "Oh, Lena!" Monica cried, glaring at the sticky mess that now stained her outfit. Monica's face flushed a shade of red, her eyes darting down to the stains slowly spreading across her outfit. It was a champagne crime scene on her dress. Lena's surprise mirrored Monica's irritation, her mouth agape, a quick realization of her klutzy move dawning on her. "I am so sorry," Lena blurted out, her face displaying genuine concern. But just beyond Monica, Lena could see Olivia, the corners of her mouth tugged up in a subtle smirk. The amusement in Olivia's eyes was unmistakable, even if it lasted just a fleeting second. Monica took a deep breath, still attempting to project an aura of calm. "No harm done, Lena, just a drink," she replied, her voice revealing a hint of the annoyance she felt. Lena's eyes focused on the stain, still in shock. Monica's face tightened in forced politeness. "It's all right, Lena, really," she replied with a thin smile, trying her best to hide the aggravation bubbling just beneath the surface. Lena's eyes darted from the stain to Olivia's amused expression, then back to Monica. A brief silent exchange of glances between Lena and Olivia said it all. She kinda had it coming. The shared smirk solidified their unspoken joke. Monica sensed the camaraderie between the two, and it bothered her. Her poker face, however, didn't waver, still aiming to play the victim of a simple accident. The party was in full swing, and from across the room, the amplified voice of Steve beckoned Lena. "Lena, you're up next for karaoke!" Relief washed over Lena as she had an excuse to abandon this awkward triangle. "Duty calls," she chuckled lightly, throwing Olivia a wink. Monica's eyes flickered to the spreading stain on her dress, a fleeting grimace appearing before it was replaced by a faux cheerful grin. She looked at Olivia and joked, "Well, I guess this dress was asking for some added flavor tonight." With the same veneer of sweetness, Monica gestured with the drink towards Olivia. "Consider this my olive branch, or in tonight's case, a champagne branch." The playfulness in her voice couldn't quite mask her underlying tension. There was still a little bit of champagne left in her glass, and she wanted to give it to Liv even more now. Olivia glanced between the drink and Monica, eyes slightly narrowed. "She can't think I'm that stupid," Olivia thought to herself. Saved by Lena's accidental push, there's no universe where I'd buy into Monica's act or accept that drink. Olivia painted on a diplomatic smile, tilting her head slightly. "You might want to get that cleaned up, Monica. That stain will set if you wait too long." Monica's eyes darted to the stain, then back to Olivia, a sheepish smile gracing her lips. "You're probably right," she murmured, setting the drink on a nearby table. She made her way toward the restroom, but her mind was racing. Everything would have gone smoothly if not for Lena's intervention. Monica fumed internally. My plan was perfect, flawless, until that unexpected interruption. Millie had been observing the scene from a distance, her observant eyes narrowing as Monica made her way to the restroom. The moment Monica was out of earshot, Millie strode over to Olivia with a look that screamed, "We need to talk." "Well, that was interesting," Millie began, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Olivia chuckled. "If by interesting you mean a performance worthy of an Oscar, then yes." Millie feigned a contemplative look. Do they give Oscars for overreacting or just acting?" Olivia laughed. "If they did, our dear Monica would have a shelf full by now." The two of them laughed, the lightness of their conversation offering a brief respite from the evening's drama. Millie's demeanor then shifted to a more contemplative one. "But on a serious note, what was that about? It was odd, even for Monica." Olivia took a moment before answering. "I have no idea. But since when does Monica play the peacemaker? Doesn't seem like her." Millie mused. "True, unless she's trying out a new role for a school play, but I doubt it." Olivia smirked. "And that drink? I mean, come on, if she was trying to be genuine, a simple sorry would have done." Millie shrugged. "Maybe she's branching out into mixology? Though I doubt she'd know a martini from a margarita." Olivia snorted. "Probably thinks a mojito is a type of yoga." Millie smirked. "And a daiquiri is a fancy dance move." Their exchange was momentarily interrupted as both of their gazes were drawn to Mark, who was watching them from a distance. Millie nudged Olivia. "And what about him? Do you think he's in whatever Monica's planning?" Olivia looked thoughtful for a moment, then nodded slightly. "It wouldn't surprise me. They've been thick as thieves all night. Though if they're trying to pull off a con, they're about as subtle as a sledgehammer." Millie shifted her weight slightly, directing her attention more pointedly toward Mark. "Okay, I've been meaning to say this for a while, but isn't Mark a little off?" Olivia, trying to keep her face neutral, responded, "Mark? Why do you say that?" Olivia was distracted as she contemplated tapping into Mark's thoughts. Millie's nose wrinkled in thought. "I don't know, he's just a bit too shifty, like he's always calculating his next move or something. Can't put my finger on it." Olivia felt a familiar twinge in her temple, the sensation she often felt when she tried to tap into someone's mind. She glanced discreetly at Mark, attempting to access his current train of thought. Millie's constant chatter was distracting, and she needed to concentrate. But just as Olivia was about to delve deep into Mark's thoughts, Lena's jubilant voice echoed across the room, cutting through the steady hum of chatter and laughter. "Olivia, get your butt over here! They're playing our jam!" Olivia blinked, startled and momentarily thrown off course. Millie looked at her with raised eyebrows, her previous concern momentarily forgotten. "Looks like you're up, superstar. Don't leave us hanging." Olivia grinned sheepishly. The opportunity to read Mark's thoughts now slipped away. "Guess I can't escape this one. Karaoke queen duties call." As Olivia moved to join Lena, Millie continued to watch Mark, the unsettling feeling not quite dissipating. Millie's eyes shifted to the drink on the table. She eyed it for a minute before picking it up. Millie held the drink up to the light, examining its golden hue and the effervescent bubbles that raised to the surface. "Everyone's been making such a fuss about this drink," she muttered to herself, eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "It's just champagne, right? Or is there something more to it?" She took a cautious sniff, trying to discern any unusual aromas. "Doesn't smell any different," she commented aloud, even though no one was around to hear it. Her fingers traced the rim of the glass as she continued her soliloquy. I mean, Monica was acting so weird with it. And Olivia's reaction, that was definitely not normal. So what's the big deal? In the dimly lit corner of the room, Cameron's eyes widened as he saw Millie, tainted drink in hand. He began to sign hurriedly to Camilla, who was seated next to him. His hands moved swiftly, fingers shaping words in the air. "Millie's holding that drink. I'm worried she might drink it." Camilla, a playful smirk on her face, responded with a swift series of hand gestures. "You going to play knight in shining armor?" His face flushing slightly, Cameron retorted, "It's not about that. Something's off about that drink." Camilla's eyes gleamed with mischief as she leaned in, signing, "Oh, come on, admit it. You've got a crush on Millie. Why else would you be so concerned?" Cameron's signs grew more animated in his frustration. "It's not a crush. Have you seen Mark? The guy gives me the creeps. That says a lot. Something's up." Refusing to let the moment pass, Camilla continued to tease, her hands dancing with playful gestures. Sure. So, you going to save your girlfriend now?" As Cameron's frustration peaked, he noticed from the corner of his eye that Millie was putting up the poisoned glass towards her lips. She didn't wait another second. Pushing himself up, he rushed over to Millie, determined to stop her from taking even a sip of the suspicious champagne. Millie was mere moments from the champagne touching her lips when a firm grasp on her wrists halted the motion. She looked up sharply into the piercing eyes of Cameron. The intensity in his gaze was palpable, causing her to draw in a sharp breath. There was an urgency in his hold, but not aggression. "What the?" Millie began, but Cameron's eyes did all the talking, willing her to just listen, to just understand. A war of emotions played on his face, and then he made an effort to soften the hard lines that often characterized his expression. With gentle determination, Cameron took the glass from Millie's grasp and set it back down on the table. Once again, he captured her in his gaze, his fingers swiftly moving in a clear and deliberate manner, signing, "Don't drink that. Just trust me." Millie's mind raced as she used what little knowledge of sign language she had. Trust him? Why? He's been nothing but an enigma since he started at our school. Why should I trust someone who's given me no reason to? Despite her whirlwind of thoughts, as she looked deeper into Cameron's eyes, she detected a softness, a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. It was as if, for a brief moment, the walls he had built up were coming down. Cameron's lips quirked into what could only be described as an almost shy smile. It was fleeting but genuine. A current of electricity seemed to pass between them, making the air feel charged. However, just as quickly as the moment had come, it was gone. The aloofness returned to Cameron's face, and he released her wrist, his eyes avoiding her. Without another word or sign, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving Millie in a state of bewilderment. Millie took a few steps away from the drink, her mind in turmoil. She could still feel the warmth from where Cameron's hands had gripped her wrist. The mixture of confusion, surprise, and flutter of something she couldn't quite name swirled within her. Why did he care so much about that drink? And why did he look at me that way? She muttered to herself, raking a hand through her hair. Lena, slightly panting from her karaoke performance, made her way back to the table. Spotting the champagne glass, she hastily took a sip, not giving it much thought to its original owner. Her thirst momentarily quenched. She was about to set the glass down when Steve's voice called out, "Lena, come on, we're on again." With a grin, Lena passed the now empty glass to Olivia. "Hold this for a second, will ya?" And without waiting for a response, she dashed back to Steve, eager to continue their duet. Olivia absent-mindedly held the empty champagne glass, her gaze scanning the room. Across the room, Mark's eyes locked onto the glass in Olivia's hand. A smirk, almost imperceptible, formed at the corner of his lips. So she's finally taking the bait, Mark mused internally, assuming it was Olivia who had just finished the glass. "You thought you were invincible, Olivia, but soon you'll be nothing but a chaotic mess. Let's see how you handle this twist." His self-satisfied smile grew a bit wider, convinced he'd outplayed her at last. Noticing his grin, Olivia's eyes narrowed. Though she wasn't sure of the full scope of Mark's scheme, she knew enough to recognize the triumph in his gaze. Olivia's gaze sharpened, and she focused her energy, attempting to tap into the swirling vortex of Mark's thoughts. For a split second, the room's buzz became distant as she honed in, and then his thoughts unfurled before her. It's done. She took the bait. Olivia's grip on the glass tightened as realization washed over her. Mark had tampered with the drink, but Lena had consumed it. Her fury bubbled up, hotter and more visceral than she had felt in a long time. The audacity of Mark's actions, the underhanded tactics, the blatant disregard for anyone but himself, it was all too much. He's truly despicable, she raged internally. How could someone be so malicious and vile? Olivia glanced at Lena. She noticed subtle changes in her friend's demeanor. Lena's eyes had lost some of their sparkles. Her movements were more jerky than usual, and her laughter seemed just a touch too loud. Francis, too, had taken notice, his brow furrowing with concern as he watched Lena. Olivia could see Francis exchanging worried glances with Steve. "Lena, Millie, we need to go," Olivia whispered urgently, pulling both girls aside. Her voice carried a weight that made both of them pause and look at her in confusion. "Why?" Lena mumbled, swaying slightly. "Something's not right. Lena, you're acting off. We need to get out of here," Olivia said, her eyes darting around the room, scanning for any other potential threats. Millie looked at Lena and bit her lip. "You do look a little, out of it." Francis and Steve approached, Francis's gaze darting from Olivia to Lena. "Hey, is everything okay? Lena doesn't look good." Olivia nodded, her expression tense. "We're leaving. I think it's best." "We'll come with you," Steve offered, Francis nodding in agreement. Before they could make their way to the exit, a shadow loomed in their path. Mark. His expression was smug, his posture too casual to be genuine. "Leaving so soon, Olivia?" Olivia squared her shoulders, trying to keep her voice steady. "Yeah, it's time. Let us through." Mark stepped closer, the fake charm dripping from every word. "Why the rush? The party's just getting started." She tried to sidestep him, but he quickly closed the distance, grabbing her wrist. "Stay." "Let me go," Olivia ground out, each word sharper than the last. Her eyes flashed with anger, and a dangerous edge tinged her voice. Olivia thought, "If Mark doesn't move out of our way in 3 seconds, I'm going to unleash on him." Olivia frowned at Mark's friendly expression. She knew that behind his warm smile and innocent offer to pay for their party was something more sinister. Mark wasn't the type to get rejected and just brush it off. The memory of how her younger self used to trust him made her skin crawl. "I know better now." "You're not seriously going to leave?" Monica hurried over to where Mark stood in front of Olivia. "Mark even offered to cover everyone, isn't that right? Don't ruin the fun now." Olivia scoffed. "How generous." Mark nodded, raising his eyebrows defensively. "If I've accidentally offended you in some way, I sincerely apologize. Please don't leave yet." As he spoke, he now reflexively reached out and took Olivia's wrist in his hand, as if to keep her there. Even from such a small touch, he noticed how soft and smooth her skin felt. Olivia is one of the most difficult girls I've ever met, but she still might be the hottest girl in school. And she's only, 17? Just imagine when she gets older. Mark already knew that Olivia was rocketing toward success with her influence and beauty that stopped even the shrewdest competitors in their tracks. Anyone with half a brain could see it clearly. Getting a little dirt on someone like her now, even if he had to make it happen himself, would be very useful in the future. Soon the pill in her drink will start kicking in, and when it does, Olivia will start making a fool of herself. I'll be ready with my phone to catch it all on camera. Nothing like investing in a little long-term insurance. Olivia was distracted by Monica's pleas for her to stay, but she heard just enough of Mark's disgusting thoughts and recoiled. Mark was startled by the sudden hatred in Olivia's eyes. "Monica's right, stay a while. What's wrong?" he asked innocently. "Don't touch me," Olivia hissed, keeping her voice low but sharp. She yanked her wrist out of his grasp. "I can't believe I ever actually loved such a horrible jerk in my last life. How was I so blind and naive? His touching me at all just makes me sick." Olivia closed her eyes and tried to breathe calmly. Mark's face fell. The look in Olivia's eyes was enough to burn right through him. Shouldn't that pill be working by now? He wondered impatiently. "Olivia! Beautiful Olivia!" Lena called out to her friend, slurring slightly. Olivia immediately focused on her friend, blocking out Mark and Monica. "Lena, are you all right?" Olivia asked. "I feel funny." Lena said dreamily. Mark's eyes widened and Olivia gasped. Nearby, Francis watched Lena laugh too loudly and grab onto Olivia to steady herself. He had never known Lena to be loud and boisterous at a party like that. Something's wrong with Lena, Francis said to Steve, who was standing with him. Steve looked over at Olivia holding Lena by the shoulders, while Mark and Monica looked suspiciously unconcerned. Come on, Olivia looks worried, said Francis. Francis and Steve quickly walked over to join Olivia and Lena. Steve and Francis, Lena slurred as she affectionately ran her fingers through each boy's hair. Easy there, Olivia mumbled as she tried to quickly pull Lena off of Francis. Lena felt dizzy and settled back against Olivia's shoulder. Why is it so hot? Aren't you guys hot? What am I saying? Everyone at this school's too hot for their own good. Lena shouted in a daze. She pulled at the collar of her shirt and sweat beaded across her forehead. Her outbursts attracted the attention of more and more concerned classmates. I think something was in that drink. We're going to get you out of here, Olivia said into Lena's ear. Lena noticed Monica stifle a giggle. She looked from Monica's smug face to Mark's surprised stare, and it hit her. You! Lena shouted at Mark, pointing her finger. Monica feigned surprise. What is she shouting about now? Lena blinked through the foggy feeling that started in her head and seemed to be oozing down through her neck to her chest. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears, and each breath she took felt like it required all of her concentration. I've been poisoned, just like Snow White, she thought, her mind swimming. You poisoned me. We're in a soap opera, or a reality show, Lena shouted. I don't know what you're talking about, Mark scoffed. Am I dying? Lena demanded. Monica couldn't hide her laughter now. In spite of her rage, Olivia tried to ignore Monica and Mark in favor of getting Lena some help. Let's go, Olivia started to say, but Lena pushed past Olivia toward Monica. Lena seethed at Monica's laughter as it echoed in her ears. Lena raised her hand and slapped Monica with all her strength. That's for you and your fake face, Lena yelled, wobbling slightly. Everyone gasped and fell silent. Then before anyone knew what happened, Lena stumbled toward Mark and kicked him right in the crotch. The crowd yelled in surprise and stood back. Monica still covered the half of her face that Lena slapped, completely dumbfounded. Olivia, Francis, and Steve gaped in stunned silence. Mark's eyes bulged and he doubled over in pain. What the hell, you psycho? Mark asked. Lena shrieked with rage and tackled Mark to the ground. You want psycho? I'll give you psycho, you monster! Lena pounded her fists on Mark and clawed at his upper body. Mark yelled and forcefully pushed Lena off of him. He jumped up and raised his leg to kick Lena. No! Olivia cried out. Before Olivia had a chance to think, Francis and Steve sprung into action. If they had waited even a second longer, Olivia might have killed Mark right then and there. Francis and Steve wrestled Mark back to the ground and kicked him. Don't ever try to hurt any of our friends again, Francis yelled. A feeling of pride surged through Olivia to see them defend Lena like this. I didn't know Francis had it in him. Stop it! Monica screamed, which shook Mark's other friends out of their stunned, frozen state. Fight! Fight! Someone yelled. Everyone on all sides rushed forward. In a matter of seconds, the entire group erupted into shouting and flying fists. In the chaos, Camilla Pell could not resist the opportunity to sneak in one good kick of her own at Mark, who couldn't see where it came from. She ducked and ran to the corner where her brother Cameron watched in amazement. Did you just kick Mark? Mark DeLillo? Cameron asked. Camilla covered a giggle with her hand. I love to try everything once. The twins smirked and watched the chaos unfold. Olivia and Millie desperately looked for Lena, who had disappeared in the scuffle. Olivia tried to listen for Lena's thoughts, but it was impossible with everyone shouting. Friends! Lena called out from the door. Olivia and Millie ran to her to help her up. I'm so hot, and my insides feel itchy. I want to sleep now, Lena slurred. She sounds even more woozy than before, Olivia thought. Lean on us, Olivia urged. She and Millie supported Lena under each of her arms. Lena began to squirm and thrash away from them. "It's too hot!" Lena wailed and suddenly fainted. Olivia and Millie caught her just in time. At that moment, Steve ran up to the three girls and helped pull Lena to the side of the room out of harm's way. Olivia saw Lena was still breathing and she checked her pulse. She's stable at least, just unconscious. Olivia turned back to the brawl and saw Mark on his feet throwing punches. Rage surged through her. "You will not get away with this. Stay with her," Olivia instructed Millie and Steve. "Olivia, it's dangerous," Millie cried out, but Olivia was already headed toward Mark. The entire room was in chaos. Olivia could barely hear what song the karaoke machine was playing now over all the noise. It was something slow and nostalgic from a 90s boy band about love that was entirely inappropriate for the situation in front of her. As she marched toward Mark, she felt all of the rage she had ever felt toward him coursing through her. This was a rare opportunity to direct some of it right back at him, and no one would be able to clearly witness her actions. "Tonight, I choose violence." Olivia laughed darkly to herself. Olivia felt the familiar tingling course through her. Olivia met Mark's eyes for just a moment before twisting her hand by her hip. Mark yelled as if he had just been punched. He touched his arm and looked around in confusion. Olivia relished listening to Mark's stunned thoughts. She liked to hear the fear and uncertainty in his voice. It wasn't anywhere near what he made her feel, but it was something. "Who hit me? No one was close enough. Olivia was just staring at me right before it happened, but that's impossible." Mark's thought stopped abruptly as Francis landed a solid punch right into the side of Mark's face. He fell to the ground unconscious. "Olivia, I think we need to get Lena to a doctor," Millie called to her. Olivia hurried back to where Millie protected unconscious Lena. Her entire face was beet red and had swelled up so much that her features were unrecognizable. "Let's go now," Olivia agreed. With Steve's help, the three of them carried Lena toward the exit. As they moved out, Mark groggily came to the floor. He gingerly touched his face and winced. He blinked and glimpsed Olivia walking away as she helped to carry Lena out of the room. Olivia was right in the middle of the fight, but she looks completely fine. How is that possible? His head throbbed from all of the hits he had already took, but the anger that pulsed through him now made it worse. His plan to get humiliating evidence of Olivia to save as blackmail later backfired so spectacularly. Now he was the one lying on the floor, soaking in humiliation. It was unbearable. "I will get you, Olivia, sooner or later." Fueled by sheer rage, Mark staggered to his feet and chased after Olivia, just as she was about to disappear out the door. He ignored the pain that stabbed throughout his body and lunged at Olivia. Millie turned to see Mark just in time and stretched out her arm to block him from Olivia. "Out of my way," Mark snarled. He grabbed Millie with one hand and Olivia with the other. Olivia's eyes flashed with anger, but before she could act, Mark was suddenly rolling on the ground in agony. He screamed and clutched at his arm. Olivia and Millie looked up to see what had happened. "Derek?" Millie gasped. Olivia saw Millie's brother Derek standing over Mark with a thick steel pipe in his hands. He looked like he would not hesitate to kill someone at that moment. "Keep your hands to yourself," Derek spat at Mark. Mark groaned on the ground and writhed in pain. Olivia could not hide the smallest hint of a smile. Her eyes accidentally met Mark's and her smile vanished. Even through the blinding pain, Mark was sure he saw Olivia smiling. "That bitch is enjoying this," he thought, just before his vision went black and he was unconscious again. "That's enough from you," Olivia thought as she looked at Mark. "Why did you help us?" Millie asked Derek, still in shock. He shrugged dismissively and dropped the pipe. Derek turned and walked away from them. Steve reminded them of their task at hand. "There are so many questions about tonight, but we'll have to ask them later. We've really got to go." Just then, Lena opened her swollen eyes. "Formerly Fat Rabbit. Soon, I'll be Dead Rabbit." Lena passed out once again. The three friends hurried out of the room and left the fight behind. Olivia, Millie, and Steve brought Lena to the hospital as fast as they could. The doctors quickly determined Lena had in fact been drugged and that it triggered an allergic reaction, in addition to the drug's mind-altering effects. After Lena received fluids and treatment, she slept and recovered in a hospital room while her friends watched over her. As Olivia watched Lena's chest evenly rise and fall, she knew something like this couldn't happen without major consequences. An ominous moon glowed above the New York City skyline. The kids who were traveling with Mark certainly looked like they had just been in a big brawl as they shuffled down the sidewalk. They all had black eyes, split lips, puffy bruises, and torn clothes. Aching and dazed, they were all piecing together what just happened at karaoke. "So Mark drugged that girl Lena?" one of the guys exclaimed. "No wonder she attacked him." "Why would Mark drug somebody?" a girl asked quietly. "I heard him say he just wanted her to act like a mess and embarrass herself," another one reassured. "I don't think he expected her to pass out." The group fell silent as they approached the edge of Central Park, where they had planned to meet the parents who chaperoned their trip. Those parents, no doubt, had been hoping for an uneventful getaway to New York. When the group of kids approached them, their jaws dropped. "What happened to you guys?" The parents could not believe the sight before them. The kids they were responsible for were bruised, bleeding, and looking shell-shocked. "We just saw you kids at lunch. You all looked fine a couple of hours ago. Did you get mugged?" Another parent shook their head. "I said we shouldn't come to New York. Too dangerous." One of the moms, alarmed, suddenly realized one of them was missing. "Where's Mark?" The kids looked at each other, nobody wanting to speak up. They couldn't say that Mark had drugged a student and caused a huge fight. One girl sighed, realizing she had to be the brave one and talk their way out of this. "Well, Mark is in the hospital." "The hospital? Why?" one of the dads cried, practically seeing his relaxing city getaway slip away before his eyes. "A group of people attacked us in our private room at karaoke," the girl answered. "It was so dark we couldn't see them, but also we didn't know them," she added quickly, not wanting to get in trouble for Mark starting the fight. "They were probably in a gang or something. You know how New York is." "I can't believe Mark's in the hospital," another one of the dads said. "I think he will be okay," the girl reassured. "But I might not be. I cannot be the one who has to tell Mark's parents," he said. "Did you call the police?" The girl looked to her companions, unsure. "Yeah, we called the police. They said there was no surveillance cameras, though, so there's nothing they can do." "We should not have let you roam around the city unsupervised. What a mess. I guess you're still too young to go to places on your own." At this, the kids looked down ashamed. "Is it worse for my parents to baby me from now on, or for them to know how bad Mark screwed up?" one of Mark's friends mumbled, but another elbowed him to be quiet. A couple of black cars pulled up and the chaperones ushered the kids towards the door. "Come on, let's go get you cleaned up. I can't believe you walked around looking like this." Another chaperone sighed. "I guess someone has to go see Mark in the hospital. Maybe if I check up on him, the DeLillos will go easy on me." All of Mark's companions had silent car rides back to their hotel, but they felt better than Monica, who tried to hide her throbbing face from the people walking by her on the street as she called her driver. People were staring as they passed. "Oh no, it must look so bad," she thought. "Everyone's normally staring for all the right reasons. I'm hot and rich. But now I bet nobody is noticing how much these shoes cost. They're just looking at my gross face." Her nose hurt the most, its sharp pain pounding with her heartbeat. The center of her forehead also fiercely ached, and she remembered falling against a doorknob. She gingerly scratched an itch on her upper lip and felt something wet. She saw that her finger was now smeared with blood. "Oh no, ew, 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 I can't believe I'm bleeding on the street like a crazy person." Monica desperately searched her jacket and purse, but had nothing to clean herself up with. More people were staring. She wished she could lift the sewer grate and hide down inside it. She felt too self-conscious to look at her reflection in a window or on her phone, like that would draw more attention to it somehow. As her driver pulled up, She couldn't quite make her face out in the distorted reflection of the tinted car windows. She bolted inside the car as quickly as humanly possible. Her driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror and gasped softly, "Miss Monica." "Just drive," Monica snapped. She felt something drip on her hand and she looked down. It was another drop of blood, probably from her nose. She wiped it away angrily, but still did not look. She wanted to stay composed in front of the driver. If I see that this stupid public fight with Olivia and her idiot friends was not only intensely embarrassing, but did something horrific to my beautiful face, I think I'm going to lose it. Monica arrived at the Johnson mansion and fled up to her room, feeling thankful not to run into Rachel or any of the staff. She finally slammed her door, dropped her bag, and saw her face reflected in her vanity mirror. She gasped. It was horrendous. Her nose was swollen, red and bleeding, with bruises already darkening at the inner corners of her eyes. But she had a huge doorknob-shaped lump in the center of her forehead, featuring a mark in the center that was a perfect imprint of the doorknob's keyhole. Monica screamed. She picked up a porcelain cup of makeup brushes and flung it at the mirror, smashing it. The spiderweb cracks in the glass made her reflection look even more terrifying. I looked like a monster. Monica collapsed to her room in screaming sobs. What did I ever do to deserve this day? Olivia humiliated me yet again, and her damn gamer dork friends slapped me. Slapped me, Monica Johnson. And as if that wasn't bad enough, then they all ganged up on me without warning. Monica felt like the most pitiful person in the world as she cried. I'm a good person, a beautiful person. I did not deserve getting attacked, and then having to see Mark DeLillo's arm getting beat down, that was so scary. She wondered if this had even been the scariest day of her life. And to top it all off, as I tried to run away from the whole mess, I tripped and smacked my gorgeous forehead into a doorknob. What if I have a doorknob imprint on my face forever? Monica wanted to smash all the mirrors in the world and dig out everyone's eyes. She didn't want to see herself like this, and she didn't want anyone else to see her like this either. But maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Maybe I was just in shock. Isn't shock like a thing? Monica clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and mustered up the courage to glance at her face in the shattered vanity mirror one more time. No, it's even worse. From all the crying and the intense rage she was feeling, her face was even redder, more swollen, and puffier than before. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with hate. This is Olivia's fault. It was all Olivia. I look like a monster, but she's the monster. I hate her. Monica shot up to her feet with a roar. She barged into Olivia's room, slamming open the door. Olivia hadn't been home for a few months, yet every day a maid cleaned her bedroom. The room was spotless. Damn it, damn it, damn it! Monica swept pens, books, and a lamp off of Olivia's desk. She shoved a plant off the nightstand and ripped the drawer out, dumping it everywhere. She grabbed the curtains and yanked them downward, taking the whole rod down with a clang. In a surge of angry strength, Monica lifted Olivia's desk chair over her head. She smashed it into Olivia's bookshelves. Books waterfalled to the ground, pages fluttering open. She raised the chair again and swung, splintering Olivia's wardrobe doors. She lifted it again and smashed it at Olivia's big desktop computer screen. It fell backward, resting against the wall, but looked undamaged. Monica smashed it with the chair again. Not a dent or a crack. She smashed it again, and still it did not break, which just made Monica angrier as her arms burned. Monica threw the chair aside, picked up the computer, and threw it across the room with a scream. It bounced and came to a stop on its side, but still looked the same. Is this computer frickin' indestructible or something? She panted heavily, starting to realize how exhausted she was and how much energy she had just released. She had erupted like a volcano. But her eyes flashed as she realized there was still hate and anger burning inside her chest. Her eyes caught something inside the splintered wardrobe. Vintage designer clothes, bags, belts, limited editions, expensive to begin with. But the kind of stuff that only increases in value with time. Why does she have all this stuff and I don't? These should be mine. In another wing of the Johnson mansion, Rachel had drawn herself a bath in her deep jacuzzi tub. She had always loved this bathroom. She drizzled the water with rose and orange oils and dropped in a big, relaxing bath bomb. She sadly inspected her current favorite face mask. A jar of it cost thousands of dollars and was filled with diamond dust. These were the kinds of things she deserved, and this is what Michael wanted to take away from her. Rachel took off her robe and was about to dip a foot into the tub when a maid knocked. "Ma'am," she said hesitantly from the other side of the door. "What?" Rachel said, still really angry about Michael, but feeling furious about being disturbed. Monica was crying very loudly and screaming for a while. "So, can't that wait?" Rachel was impatient. "Now there are smashing sounds. We think she's destroying things upstairs." Rachel heaved a huge sigh and pulled her robe back on. Rachel heard smashing and splintering as she hurried upstairs. She entered Monica's room to find it empty but in disarray, with the smashed mirror at the center of it all. She heard the sound of the computer bouncing on the floor and followed the noise. Rachel entered Olivia's room to see Monica holding the desk chair above her head, poised to smash it into Liv's wardrobe full of ultra-expensive luxury items. "Monica, stop! That's a vintage Hermes!" Monica threw the chair aside with a roar, sparing the vintage goods. "Mom, you don't understand!" Only once the luxury purses were safe did Rachel notice the completely destroyed bedroom and Monica's bruised, bleeding face. "What happened to you? Did you hurt yourself?" "Mommy," Monica blurted as she started to cry. Her salty tears burned her injured face, and that made her cry harder. "Monica, don't cry." Rachel opened her arms and pulled Monica in close. Monica flung her arms around Rachel and gripped her robe tight. "It was Olivia. It was all Olivia. She ruined my life." "She did this to you?" "Mommy, I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore. She must die. I must kill her." "Be good, Monica, be good." "Either she dies or I die. I really hate her." I know. Rachel had felt that kind of hate before. Oh God, how she'd felt it. She felt it often. "I know, sweetheart." Monica's legs buckled in her sobbing, and she pulled Rachel to the ground. "Mommy, she must die. I can't wait any longer to kill her. I really, really can't." Rachel held Monica tightly, feeling her daughter's pain as the girl sobbed against her chest. The sensation of Monica's tears dampening her skin filled Rachel's eyes with a rare frustration, a ferocity only a mother could feel. Olivia had caused this. That girl had once again hurt her precious Monica so deeply that she was left broken in a pile on the floor. Drawing back slightly, Rachel cupped Monica's tear-streaked face in her hands, locking her gaze into those of her distraught daughter. "Monica," Rachel began, her voice firm and full of resolve. "No one, and I mean no one, will continue to upset you. My precious daughter like this." Monica's eyes searched Rachel's, and all she found was the same burning rage mirrored back at her. "I promise you," Rachel continued, her voice dripping with cold determination, "they will pay for what they've done. And trust me, darling, my revenge will be 10 times worse than anything Olivia can even fathom." Monica hesitated for a moment, her gaze dropping to the ground before she blinked away the last of her tears and looked up again. "Do you really mean it?" Rachel smirked, her expression darkening with mischief. "I mean every word. And you know what? I think I'll even enjoy it." A spark ignited in Monica's eyes, a spark of appreciation for her mother's fiercely protective instincts. "You'd really do that for me?" Monica whispered, her voice shaky but hopeful. Rachel used her thumbs to gently wipe away Monica's tears, ensuring she held eye contact as she spoke. "For you? I'd move mountains." Rachel helped Monica to her feet, steadying her trembling form. "Now come on," Rachel said, brushing a stray strand of hair from Monica's face. "Let's get you cleaned up." There's no need for tears. Not when we have sweet vengeance to plan. Monica hesitated again, a fragile glint of vulnerability in her eyes. You promise? Rachel leaned in close, her voice dropping to a sly whisper. Cross my heart and hope Olivia will die. A dark smirk slid across Rachel's face. Monica slowly started to smile with the same gleaming, twisted look in her eyes. Across town, Lena was lying in a hospital bed in New York. The lively bustle of the city was muted here, reduced to a distant hum, and in the sterile white walls felt strangely disconnected from the chaos that had brought her to this place. Lena's face was red and swollen. It was an improvement from earlier, but still, a painful reminder of the recent altercation. Her eyes were half open. Millie, Olivia, Steve, and Francis were all huddled around Lena, expressions drawn and concerned. The atmosphere was thick with a mixture of anxiety and relief. Lena's voice was a quiet rasp when she groaned in pain. It immediately drew the attention of her friends. Lena, you okay? Steve asked, voice laced with concern. Millie's eyes were wide with worry. Can we get you anything? Do you need more water? Francis was unusually attentive. He reached out to grab Lena's hand, fingers gently brushing against her knuckles. He held it for just a moment before he quickly pulled away, not wanting to complicate their already tangled web of feelings. I feel like I got run over by a truck, Lena murmured, attempting a weak smile. Olivia's face crumbled in sympathy. I'm so sorry, Lena, she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. I'm so sorry about Mark and everything. This shouldn't have happened. Lena managed a soft chuckle, her gaze softening as she looked at Olivia. You can't blame yourself. I'm not mad at you. But Mark? Her voice quivered. I'm so mad at him. She took a deep breath, her gaze flitting across her friends' faces. Thank you, all of you. I don't know what I would have done without you. Lena's eyes lingered on Francis. Their gazes held for a moment longer than necessary. And you, she said, her voice soft. Thank you for sticking up for us. She quickly averted her eyes, feeling a blush creep up on her cheeks. She worried she had stared too long, revealed too much. Francis hesitated and said, I didn't really do much, Lena. I was just trying to help, just like everyone else, he said, his voice soft. Their eyes met again, a moment filled with unsaid words and emotions. Francis felt heat rise to his cheeks, and he quickly averted his gaze. Francis shifted uncomfortably. He was clearly rattled, his mind likely racing with the same thoughts that consumed Lena's. I'll go grab some snacks, he blurted out, eager for an excuse to escape the room and the mounting tension. As the door closed behind Francis, Millie sighed heavily, her shoulders slumping with the weight of recent events. I can't believe what we went through, she murmured, shaking her head. Is it too much to ask for less drama in our lives? Steve chuckled weakly. At this point, I think drama has our number on speed dial. Lena managed a faint smile, her gaze distant. Drama seems to follow us like a shadow. I just need a vacation, Millie mused, staring at the ceiling. Somewhere far away with no complications and no unexpected turns. Just some sun, sea, and maybe a good book. Steve nodded in agreement. Amen to that. I could use some sand between my toes. Lena laughed softly. And maybe no hospital rooms. Lena shifted slightly, wincing at the soreness that accompanied the movement. How are the others doing? She inquired, referring to their classmates who had also been caught up in the chaos. Steve took a deep breath before answering. Sam's got a sprained wrist, but from what I heard, he's trying to play it off like it's nothing. Everyone else seems to be okay, thankfully. Millie nodded, her gaze distant. We're lucky Adam had left the restaurant earlier. If he had been at the karaoke bar when that fight broke out, he could have been held responsible, she said, her voice thick with concern. Being our teacher, any scandal could jeopardize his job. Lena's eyes widened in realization. That's right. Adam organized the party at the restaurant for us. He could have been dragged into this mess. Olivia groaned, her guilt manifesting physically as she sank into her chair before she said, I can't believe Mark caused all of this because he was coming after me. I should have just drank the champagne. Lena reached out, touching Olivia's arm gently, feeling the weight of her guilt. Lena said, Olivia, we're a team. We all share the good and the bad. Olivia sighed heavily, rubbing her temples as if trying to ward off any impending headache. After all this drama, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to handle all my schoolwork and go to Paris. Lena, her brows furrowed in confusion, glanced at Millie before asking, Paris, what are you talking about? Olivia looked up, realizing she hadn't told all her friends about Paris. Oh, I got an invitation because Royal Perry, knife god, is creating his last knife. It's a massive event in Paris, and all these people and great chefs from all around the world are attending. Lena's and Millie's eyes widened in unison. You're going to the knife god ceremony? That's huge, Lena exclaimed. Millie chimed in, excitement evident in her voice. Royal Perry is a legend. The chance to witness his last creation? That's like a once-in-a-lifetime event. Olivia nodded. Exactly. I was debating whether or not to go, but then I found out Wendy would be there, so now I'm thinking of going to Paris and having a blast with her, both at the ceremony and around the city. At the mention of Wendy's name, Steve's eyes grew comically large, his attention suddenly very focused. Wendy's going? Wendy as in Wendy? Olivia laughed at his reaction. Yes, that Wendy. Before the conversation could continue in that direction, Olivia turned to Millie, a hint of mischief in her eyes. Actually, Millie, I was wondering if you'd like to come with me to Paris? Millie, caught completely off guard, blinked a few times before responding. Wait, are you serious? Olivia grinned. Completely. Millie's face broke into a wide smile. Yes, oh my gosh, yes, Paris? I'd love to. Lena pouted, making a mock sad face. And here I'll be, stuck in our apartment, taking care of nuggets and cheese, she said. Millie chuckled, giving Lena a teasing nudge. Oh, come on, we both know you'd love nothing more than some uninterrupted time with just nuggets and cheese. A week of bunny cuddles? That's your idea of heaven. Steve, trying to sound nonchalant but failing miserably, turned to Olivia. So, Wendy's in Paris, huh? Mind if I crash your girls' trip? Olivia laughed heartedly, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Trying to turn our getaway into a love rendezvous, Steve? Steve tried to feign innocence, but his cheeks reddened slightly. What? No, I just thought, if Wendy's going to be there, maybe I could, attend the event. Olivia raised an eyebrow, her grin broadening. Oh, so now you're interested in the event? Steve scratched the back of his head, a sheepish look on his face. Well, now that I know Wendy will be there, I thought it'd be nice to see her again. Just as the room filled with a playful laughter, the door swung open, revealing Francis holding a tray full of snacks. What's so funny? He asked, looking between their amused faces. Did I miss something? Olivia glanced over to Francis, her face lit with excitement. We're talking about my upcoming trip to Paris for Royal Perry's big event. Francis made a face of distaste. Ah, Paris. My parents are forcing me to go there. Steve and Olivia exchanged glances, their faces mirroring shock and disbelief. Forcing you to go to Paris? Steve repeated. Francis nodded, clearly exasperated. Yeah, they want me to see my grandfather's friend, some Perry guy. Steve's jaw dropped and Olivia's eyes widened. Perry as in Royal Perry? She asked, incredulous. Francis shrugged. Yeah, that's the name. But honestly, I'd rather just stay home and play video games. Steve, almost shouting in disbelief, said, Do you have any idea how huge Royal Perry is in the culinary world? And your grandfather is friends with him? Francis scratched his head, looking a bit lost. They mentioned he was a big deal, but... Olivia jumped in. Francis, they call him Knife God for a reason. He's a culinary legend. Steve added, literally every top chef, every culinary enthusiast, even people outside the field want Royal Perry's final knife. It's like the holy grail of the culinary world. Olivia turned back to Francis, curiosity evident in her gaze. Are you going to compete for the knife? Francis sighed. My mom really wants me to get it. Steve smirked and said sarcastically, well, good luck with that. As the conversation swirled around her, Olivia's thoughts went inward. As long as my Uncle Bruno doesn't end up with that knife, I'll be happy. Lena pouted, her eyes looking longingly in the direction of the conversation. Now I really want to go to Paris. Olivia reached over, giving Lena's hand a gentle squeeze. Don't you worry. I'll bring you back so many gifts, you'll feel like you were right there with me. She smiled, her eyes sparkling with promise. Or who knows, maybe one of our friends will fly you out on their private jet. Their moment was interrupted as a nurse entered the room, clipboard in hand. Good news, Lena can be discharged. The group helped Lena gather her things and made their way to the exit. The cold New York air hit them as they stepped outside, but the crispness was a refreshing change from the sterile hospital environment. Olivia's eyes immediately landed on a familiar figure leaning against a lamppost. Chris. The cold air had turned his cheeks a rosy hue, and he looked somewhat anxious as he scanned the group emerging from the hospital. Her heart fluttered uncontrollably at the sight of him, and she quickly looked away, trying to hide the surge of emotions coursing through her. Noticing the silent exchange, Olivia's friends exchanged knowing glances. Clearing his throat, Steve interjected, Hey, there's a great little restaurant just around the corner. Why don't we all go grab some dinner? Francis perked up. Sounds good to me. Lena, leaning on Millie for support, nodded. I could use a good meal after all of this. Millie gave a wink in Olivia's direction. Let's go then. As the group moved away, they left Olivia standing, her eyes locked with Chris's. Chris stood there, just a few steps away, a look of relief washing over his normally stoic face. The sleek black car behind him purred quietly, with Sven seated inside. As their eyes met, Chris's serious demeanor melted away, replaced by genuine joy. Before Olivia could even process the situation, Chris closed the distance between them and wrapped her up in a tight embrace. I've been waiting for you, he murmured into her ear, his voice vibrating with warmth and concern. Olivia was taken aback, her heart racing in surprise. She hadn't really seen this side of Chris often, this unabashed happiness at just being with her. His arms, usually reserved for business handshakes and the occasional pat on the back, now held her close, almost desperately. Chris, she gasped, feeling slightly overwhelmed by the intensity of the hug. I can't breathe. Realization crossed Chris's face and he smiled sheepishly, loosening his grip. But as he pulled away, he leaned down and placed a soft, fleeting kiss on her lips. For a moment, Olivia felt frozen. Her mind whirled with conflicting emotions. This wasn't the Chris she was used to. The controlled, powerful man who always seemed to hold himself at a distance. This Chris was raw, emotional, and very much human. She took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. Chris, she began cautiously, can we maybe limit the public displays of affection? Chris looked taken aback for a split second, but then nodded, his face returning to its usual guarded state. Of course, he replied. I understand. Chris took a moment to really look at Olivia, his gaze softening. You look beautiful today, he commented, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Did you wear makeup? Olivia's face flushed, a rosy hue coloring her cheeks. She was taken aback, not just by the compliment, but by who it came from. Does Chris think I'm beautiful? The thought sent a thrill down her spine. In her internal turmoil and the constant tension between them, it was a joy to hear such a simple, genuine praise from him. Chris's eyes then wandered to her red nose, a mark of the cold. Concern flashed in his eyes. "Are you cold?" "Just a little," Olivia replied, shrugging it off. "It's okay." Without missing a beat, Chris knocked on the window behind him. The window rolled down, revealing Sven's attentive face. Chris nodded towards Olivia, and Sven seemed to immediately understand. He exited the car, holding a familiar-looking jacket. "Olivia," he greeted with a nod, offering her the jacket. "This should help." She took it, realizing it was one of Chris's. Slipping it on, she was immediately enveloped in warmth and a comforting scent that was distinctly Chris's. "It feels so nice," she thought, wrapping the jacket tighter around her. "We don't have much time," Sven said, glancing at Chris. "It's better if we continue this conversation in the car." Chris nodded in agreement, holding the car door open for Olivia. She got in, followed by Sven, and the three of them drove away, the city lights creating a shimmering path ahead. In the plush confines of Chris's car, Olivia felt the unmistakable warmth of his presence beside her. She subtly laid her hand next to his on the middle console, both palms facing up, fingers almost touching. Chris, with a little smile, hesitated for a moment, and then slowly inched his fingers toward Olivia's until their hands intertwined. It was a simple act, yet spoke volumes, drawing a shy smile from Olivia. "So, where are we headed?" Olivia asked, her voice infused with a hint of mischief. Chris looked at her with a playful grin. "You're jumping into a car with no idea where you're going? I thought you were more careful than that." Olivia rolled her eyes, her hand slipping from his grasp. "Oh, I knew where I was going, straight into a joke, apparently. Thanks for not disappointing me." Chris chuckled, loving their playful jabs. "I can't help it. You make it too easy." Swiftly, he captured her hand again, this time giving it a gentle squeeze. "But to answer your question, we're going to see someone." Olivia furrowed her brows, pondering his vague response. "Are we seeing Vera? It feels like ages since I last saw her." Sven glanced at Olivia through the rearview mirror. "That's a shame. Vera just flew back to Rome this morning." Olivia sighed, remembering how frequently Vera made those trips. "Then if not Vera, who are we visiting? Your secret fan club?" Chris smirked. "Well, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret now, would it?" "Oh, come on, you're not James Bond. Out with it." "Ah, but if I were, you'd be my Bond girl. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it?" She snorted. "More like James Board. Now spill." "Guess," Chris said, charmed by Olivia's snort. "Your personal stylist? Because honestly, that hair of yours needs a bit of styling." Olivia joked. Chris pretended to be offended. "It's called the dapper look. Some people find it attractive, don't they?" Chris said as he looked at Olivia. Chris and Olivia stared at each other. Olivia blushed and looked away. "Oh, I hate how cute he is," Olivia thought. Olivia exhaled to keep going toe-to-toe with Chris in their banter. Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Sure, if you're in a boy band." Chris leaned closer. "Is that a hint? Should I get a guitar?" She giggled. "Only if you promise not to sing off-key." All right, Chris relented finally. "We're seeing someone special." Olivia's eyes wandered out of the car window, her attention caught by the familiar scenery. The closer they got, the more recognizable the landmarks became. "Are we heading to the airport?" she asked, surprise evident in her voice. Chris turned to her with a sly smile. "Bingo." Olivia's eyes narrowed, curiosity burning brighter. "Who are we picking up? Or are we going on a trip?" "You'll know when we get there," Chris replied, his voice dripping with mischief. "Come on, Chris," she pouted. "Don't be so cryptic." His smile only grew wider at her frustration. "I thought you liked a good mystery." Olivia huffed. "I hate secrets." Chris leaned closer, his voice teasing. "That's not entirely true now, is it? I seem to recall both of us being quite adept at keeping them." Olivia rolled her eyes, though there was a playful spark in them. "Fine, keep your secrets, but two can play this game." Chris smirked, completely unaware of Olivia tapping into his thoughts. Before she could glean any useful information, the car came to a stop. "Looks like we're here," Chris announced, an air of anticipation surrounding him. Chris pointed towards the airport with a smile. Olivia followed Chris's gaze, trying to decipher who had captured his attention outside. Her eyes widened in pleasant surprise as they landed on the figure of Chef Theodore. She couldn't help but smile widely, her heart warmed by the sight of the renowned chef who had been her mentor. Chef Theodore was a sight to behold. Today he was draped in lavish black fur that looked impeccably soft to the touch. Underneath the fur, he sported a crisp white shirt, complemented by a uniquely knitted shoulder pad, its threads glimmering slightly. His lower half was adorned with what Olivia recognized as dark black slacks, which were neatly tucked into a polished pair of Oxford shoes. Perhaps the most striking of all his accessories was the crutch he carried. It was intricately designed, with a dragon's head at the top, its eyes gleaming mysteriously. Despite his need for a crutch, he emanated vitality. "Chef Theodore!" Olivia exclaimed, rushing forward to greet him. "Ah, Olivia, my best apprentice," Chef Theodore responded warmly, his eyes twinkling with genuine affection. He took a moment to take in her appearance, as if memorizing every change since the last time they'd met. "You look wonderful, dear. Tell me, have you been keeping up with your knife skills?" A flush crept up Olivia's cheeks. Her embarrassment was evident. I've been so caught up with school and my gaming company that I haven't had much time to practice," she admitted, her gaze dropping slightly. Chef Theodore chuckled softly, patting her shoulder gently. "Life has a way of distracting us from our passions, doesn't it? But remember, a true chef never forgets the feel of a knife in their hand." "Punish you, I should," Chef Theodore teased, wagging a finger at Olivia with a mock stern look. "Such skilled hands shouldn't be kept from their craft for too long." Olivia chuckled. "Maybe a few extra hours chopping onions as penance? Ah, a fitting punishment, but only if you promise to cry genuine tears." Chef Theodore responded with a hearty laugh, clearly enjoying their banter. Chris stepped forward, extending his hand with a warm smile. "Great Uncle Theodore, it's good to see you." "And you, young Chris," Chef Theodore responded, gripping his great-nephew's hand firmly. "You've grown even more since I last saw you." As Fen moved forward to handle Chef Theodore's luggage, Olivia gently took the chef's arm, guiding and assisting him as they made their way to the car. The care and excitement evident in her actions, eager to use the journey as an opportunity to catch up a bit. As the car wove its way through the bustling streets of New York, Olivia turned her attention back to Chef Theodore. "Why are you in New York, Chef? I wasn't expecting to see you for at least another few months." The chef raised an eyebrow at Chris, a hint of playful annoyance in his gaze. "You didn't tell her?" Chris leaned back, his charismatic smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "I wanted it to be a surprise." "Ah, always playing games," Theodore remarked, then focused on Olivia. "I'm here for you, my dear." Olivia blinked in surprise, her brow furrowing. "For me? Did you fly all the way from Europe just to give me some new cooking lessons? Not that I wouldn't appreciate it, but—" The chef burst out laughing, his hearty chuckles filling the car. "Oh, Olivia, as much as I'd love to dedicate my days to mentoring you, I unfortunately don't have the luxury of having that much time." Olivia grinned, her curiosity piqued. "So why are you here then?" The chef wagged a finger at her. "First, let me tell you something. With your talent, your skill, your intelligence, if you dedicated even just a smidgen of time every day to refining your craft, you'd surpass even me in no time. You don't need me hovering around you." He continued passionately. "Cooking is an art and a science. It requires commitment, the sharpness of a blade, the precision in each cut, the balance in each dish. It's not just about feeding someone, it's about telling a story, sharing a piece of your soul." Chris and Sven exchanged amused glances at the chef's fervor, clearly used to his passionate speeches. Olivia listened intently, taking in each word. I understand, Chef, but you still haven't told me why you're here. Chef Theodore exchanged a glance with Chris, the air between them suddenly heavy with some unspoken understanding. Olivia, always observant, immediately felt the shift in the atmosphere. Why are you both being so cagey? What's going on? Olivia questioned, her eyes darting between the two men. The chef cleared his throat, taking a moment before speaking. Tell me, Olivia, have you heard about the knife god, Royal Perry, and his grand event in Paris? Olivia nodded, leaning forward with interest. Of course, I've heard of it, and I'm pretty excited about the trip to Paris. The Knife God's event is supposed to be quite the spectacle. Why do you ask? Theodore's lips curled into a knowing smile. Are you planning on competing for Perry's last knife? Olivia laughed slightly. Me? Compete for the Knife God's legendary blade? I think you're overestimating my abilities. Why are you competing for it? The chef's smile widened as he slowly reached inside his coat, producing a magnificent knife. The blade gleamed with an ethereal luster, its hilt encrusted with precious gems. Why would I compete, Olivia, when I already own one of Royal Perry's finest creations? And not just this one. I have several of his masterpieces. Olivia's eyes widened in amazement, her fingers itching to touch the exquisite blade. It's breathtaking, she murmured. But Chef, I'm confused. Why exactly are you in town here? The chef leaned in, his voice soft but intense. I came to tell you that I want you to compete for his last knife. The words hung in the air, thick with meaning and implication. Olivia's heart raced as she thought, me? But why? Wait, what? Olivia stammered, her eyes wide as Chef Theodore smiled knowingly at her. You want me to compete for Knife God's last knife? That's right. Theodore nodded with confidence. He believed in Olivia and knew she'd be able to handle something of this caliber. Chef Theodore wanted to encourage Olivia to continue mastering her culinary skills. He truly believed if she put in the work, she could be the greatest chef in the entire country. Hell, maybe even the world one day. If she won the last knife made by Knife God, not only would the tool itself help her, but the notoriety would be a great stepping stone to launching her career as a world-renowned chef. And if she wanted to gain a firm foothold in the food industry one day, this would be the best way to do it. Aside from her skills alone, Chef Theodore also believed in Olivia for her ambition and tenacity. He had so many mentees in his life who had talent, but none had the same drive that he so clearly saw in Olivia. Plus, she was never arrogant about it. Typically, when you mix that much ambition with that much raw talent, you get someone who is very full of themselves. But with Olivia, this was not the case. He knew that all Olivia needed to know was the specific training for this event and the right support system backing her up. He was glad to see that her grandnephew was still on Olivia's side. A big mistake he saw many professionals make was to give up their loved ones for their careers. Chef Theodore had made this mistake himself at times. As an older man, he now knew how important it was to have the people around you that make life worth living. Without them, life was pointless. Olivia's head was spinning with all of this news. She had not considered competing for Knife God's last knife, but she had to admit the idea excited her. What preparations do I need to make before we leave? Olivia asked resolutely. Chef Theodore grinned at her. He liked that, despite the way this was sprung onto the girl, she was already planning in her mind. Just make sure to pack enough sweaters. Paris is miserable and raining this time of year, and I don't want my prodigy to catch a cold. Olivia smirked with a sort of far-off look in her eyes. She had always dreamed of visiting Paris during this season. The idea of walking the old cobblestone streets in the rain sounded so romantic. Oh, and be wary of this knife god character, Chef Theodore added. Royal Perry is not an easy man. He will set up the competition with many, many rules, but know that he doesn't mean he'll follow any of them himself. Olivia frowned. I see. I'll keep that in mind. She hated people who used little tricks like that. In the end, it would be hard for the person who was most deserving to win, if the host himself were cheating. Anyways, before we do anything, we must get your knife skills back up to par. Chef Theodore reached out and squeezed Olivia's hand in a grandfatherly way. That's what I'm here for, so you feel fully prepared before we leave for Paris. We're about to pass through the Upper West Side. Sven leaned over his shoulder to speak. Shall I drop Olivia off and we'll pick her up in the morning? Chef Theodore waved his hand at Sven. Let's take her all the way home to the Johnson mansion. I'd like to have a visit while I'm here anyhow. Oh. Olivia exchanged a quick glance with Chris Jones from where he sat shotgun in the passenger seat. I actually live here now with my mom. No matter how many times Olivia had to tell people about her new living situation, it never ceased to feel awkward. Chef Theodore, surprised by the news, studied Olivia's face for a moment. What could have happened that would have made Olivia want to leave such a luxurious estate? He saw a hint of sadness in Olivia's eyes that she was clearly trying to hide. Could it be that she had been bullied out of her rightful place in the Johnson home? Olivia, feeling Chef Theodore's eyes bore into her soul, smiled widely to try to cover her true feelings. Let's go to my new apartment. I'll introduce you to my mother, and you must meet Polly. She's my Siberian husky, and she loves people. But Chef Theodore waved Olivia off, leaning forward to speak directly with Sven. Take us to the Johnson mansion immediately, he demanded, then leaned back in his seat, scowling as he thought. He had to go himself to see what had occurred. There was no way he would stand idly by and let Olivia be bullied by her own family. He wouldn't have it. Chris looked worriedly back at Olivia, who was chewing on her lip, trying to figure out of a way to get out of this. Uncle Theodore, I don't know if it's such a good idea. Chris tried to argue. It's late, and we haven't announced ourselves ahead of time. Nonsense. Chef Theodore was rapidly losing patience. He knew he would not be able to have a restful sleep until he got to the bottom of what was happening within the Johnson family. Olivia smiled at Chris, thankful for his attempt to get her out of an uncomfortable situation, but now resigned to her fate. It's okay, she reassured him. Besides, it'll give me an excuse to finally collect all of my things I left there. I've been meaning to go back to do that anyway. No problem, Sven assured them, turning quickly so that he could get on the right route towards the Johnson mansion. I'll take you there and wait so I can bring you back to the city when you're done. Thank you, Sven. You really don't need to. Olivia was grateful that Sven was such a gentleman in situations like these. It's the least I can do. Sven smiled at Olivia in the rearview mirror, then focused his attention back on the road. Let me just drop Chris off first so he can get back to his dorm. He's got a big exam coming up and he still needs to study. No, Chris Jones said firmly. I'm going to. But Chris, Sven tried to reason with him. He knew his friend hadn't been doing too well in school recently, and his family would start to get involved if his grades dipped any lower. I'll study later, tonight. I'm going to the Johnson mansion. Chris looked straight ahead. He wouldn't let Sven persuade him otherwise. Tonight was not about him. It was about Olivia, and he was going to be there for her no matter what. Chef Theodore looked between his grandnephew and Olivia, and the corners of his mouth curled up. He could see how much these two really cared for one another, even if they tried to fight it. Sven pulled up to the Johnson mansion, and Olivia's breath caught in her throat. She knew nothing had changed, but somehow the entire place seemed shrouded in a dark energy that wasn't there when she and her father had inhabited the residence. Olivia stepped out of the car and felt a shiver run through her body that had nothing to do with the low temperature of the evening. She swallowed her nerves and led the group into the mansion. In the foyer, Olivia was greeted by a maid who was surprised to see her. Wanting to establish that, as a Johnson, she still had authority within the manor, Olivia stood up straight and demanded to be taken to the parlor for tea while they waited for her Grandpa Jack to be told of their arrival. Upstairs, Jack Johnson sat in his office on a video conference call with Bruno, going over some last-minute documents. when a butler entered to inform him of the arrival of his granddaughter and Chef Theodore. Jack immediately put down the documents and rushed out to greet the renowned chef, without so much as a goodbye to Bruno. Downstairs in the parlor, Jack soon found Olivia and Chef Theodore sipping tea, accompanied by the Jones boy and his friend. Jack opened his arms welcomely as he walked into the room. "Theodore, what a pleasant surprise! I had no idea you were in town. I would have welcomed you properly." Grandpa Jack's greeting oozed fake kindness, but Chef Theodore stood politely, used to this kind of behavior. "I didn't know I'd be in town myself until just this morning." Chef Theodore held out his hand to shake with Jack. "It's good to see you, Jack." Chef Theodore held Jack's hand tightly, making the older Johnson patriarch a bit nervous. There was something behind his eyes as well that made Jack wonder if this was more than just a friendly visit. "Hello, grandfather," Olivia called from her spot on the couch, refusing to stand for this old man. Grandpa Jack looked past Chef Theodore at his eldest granddaughter and felt a rush of anger fill his lungs. He still couldn't believe that his son had abandoned the family business the way he had, and now Michael had dragged Olivia into it as well, making sure she would never have any kind of family loyalty to the Johnsons. "Hello, Olivia. It's lovely to see you." Jack's eyes squinted from the effort of his forced smile. "So, to what do I owe the honor of having you all in my home tonight?" Jack turned his attention back towards Chef Theodore, but Olivia cleared her throat, demanding the attention to be back on her. "We just picked up Chef from the airport, and since we were already out driving, I thought why not stop by the mansion so that I might finally pick up all the things I left here." "Well, now that you are here, you must stay the night. Driving in the city at this time can be treacherous." Jack thought of how wonderful it would be to have extra time with someone as important as Chef Theodore. And as an added bonus, he knew it would drive Michael crazy to know that Olivia was back under his roof. "That won't be necessary." Olivia stood, placing her teacup carefully back on its saucer. "I'll just collect my things and we will be on our way." Jack grimaced. Why was it so hard to keep his own blood inside this house? And how could his granddaughter speak to him in this tone? She was still a Johnson after all, and as long as he was alive, he was the leader of the Johnson clan. Chef Theodore watched the interaction between Olivia and Jack and knitted his eyebrows together. He turned to the head of the Johnson family. "Jack, it seems that Olivia isn't comfortable staying in her rightful home anymore. I hate to think that there might be something happening within the family to make her feel this way." So that was it, Jack thought to himself. This ungrateful little girl went and tattled on her own flesh and blood. But Jack hid his true feelings, masking them with a look of surprise. "Oh, there must be some kind of misunderstanding," he insisted. "Olivia has always been more than welcome in the Johnson home. If there was something here that was making her feel unaccepted, I assure you I have no idea what that could be." Just then, a shrill voice broke through the conversation. "Olivia, I had no idea you were here. Were we expecting you?" Rachel walked into the room with a sour expression on her face, which she instantly morphed into a smile when she saw who accompanied Olivia. "It's so good to see you, dear." Olivia could see how much Rachel was straining herself, trying to keep a smile on her face in front of the other guests. She knew that Rachel never expected, nor wanted to see Olivia back in the Johnson mansion. She had grown accustomed to a life without Olivia as a constant reminder of her misfortunes, and she liked it that way. But here Olivia was now, sitting on the settee Rachel had so painstakingly picked to match the decor of the room. If it weren't for Chris Jones and Chef Theodore, not to mention Grandpa Jack, Rachel would have ripped Olivia's hair out on the spot. "Rachel?" Grandpa Jack turned to her. "Olivia and her friends will be staying the night with us. Would you please have one of the maids prepare Olivia's room and the adjoining guest rooms?" A flash of panic appeared on Rachel's face, but she quickly washed it away, smiling like the best of hostesses. "Of course, Dad," she replied, causing Jack to grimace involuntarily. He hated it when Rachel referred to him so casually, especially now that the divorce was official. The two of them were merely co-inhabitants. Olivia had seen the look on Rachel's face and decided to do some snooping. She focused all of her energy and listened in on Rachel's thoughts. We'll need to move fast so that Olivia doesn't see that Monica destroyed her room. Rachel's mind went into overdrive trying to come up with a plan to hide Monica's damage. I'll need to get at least 3 of the maids in there to clean everything up in time. So that's why Rachel doesn't want me to go up there, Olivia thought to herself. She's once again trying to cover up for her demon seed. Actually, we're not staying the night, Olivia said abruptly, watching the panic in Rachel's eyes subside. She waited a moment, playing with Rachel's emotions, letting her think that she had gotten away with something. I'm just here to collect my things, so I'll pop up to my room now and start gathering everything. Rachel's entire face flushed of its color. No! She shouted out reflexively, unable to stop herself. Everyone stared at Rachel. Even those who did not know her well found this to be unusual behavior. I just mean, you and your friend should stay the night, Rachel stammered. It's dangerous to drive at this time. Sven is an excellent driver. Olivia watched as Rachel's eyes darted back and forth, as if looking for an answer to her problems. She loved toying with her ex-stepmother like this. I'm sure we will be more than safe. At that, Olivia stood. Now I'll just be quick. Don't worry about me. She turned and held out a hand to Chris. Will you accompany to my room and help me pack? Chris looked at Olivia, startled by this show of affection. She was typically not the type for public displays, despite Chris's best efforts. He wondered what had prompted this sudden need of hers to reach for him. But Chris knew better than to question it. He would just enjoy this moment. Of course. Chris reached out and took Olivia's hand in his own, trying not to smile too widely. He knew Sven would be teasing him about this later. Olivia wanted to have Chris Jones with her just in case she needed a witness, or worse, protection from some kind of attack. Plus, as an added bonus, she knew the fact that Olivia was betrothed to the heir of the Jones fortune and not Monica drove Rachel especially crazy. Just let the maids tidy up in there first, Olivia, Rachel suggested. There's no rush, is there? Olivia cocked her head at Rachel. Well, there's no reason for them to tidy, is there? After all, I left the room in perfect condition before leaving for my mom's place in Manhattan. Unless someone has been in my room and made a mess, then it should be perfectly acceptable. Rachel was sweating now. She needed to find a way to keep Olivia from seeing Monica's mess. That is true, Rachel continued, desperately racking her brain for an excuse. But there's no need to run up there right away. Maybe we should let your guests sit and enjoy their tea first. Oh, I'm fine, ma'am, thank you. Chris Jones looked at Rachel with a big, smug grin, enjoying being able to help Olivia in even this small of a way. It seems like you really don't want me to go to my room, Auntie Rachel. Olivia smiled devishly at her ex-stepmother. Why is that? You're not hiding a man in there, are you? Rachel let out a girlish laugh, trying to cover the intense anger and hatred she felt towards Olivia at this moment. Oh, Olivia, you do like to tease me, don't you? At this point, even Grandpa Jack was beginning to wonder why Rachel was taking such a strange stance against Olivia entering her own room. Oh, for God's sakes, Rachel. The girl doesn't want to spend the night. Let her just go about her business in peace. Chef Theodore took in the entire scene. He was starting to see that all was not as it appeared in the Johnson household, and began to feel sympathy towards Olivia. Rachel was startled by Jack's outburst. She held her tongue now, knowing she would be unable to stop Olivia at this point. Well then, Olivia smiled smugly at Rachel. Shall we? Grandpa Jack stepped aside, allowing Olivia and Chris Jones to pass. Rachel quickly scurried out of the room behind them, keeping a few paces behind, and stopping a maid on her way up the stairs. You! Rachel hissed at the maid. Go to Miss Monica's room and make sure she stays there, do you hear me? Do not let her exit no matter what. The nervous maid nodded her head and quickly rushed off towards Monica's room. Rachel watched as Olivia pulled Chris towards her room. With every step, Rachel's heart quickened. She knew she had to come up with an alibi quickly. Rachel went back downstairs to try to stay calm, when the moment came that Olivia saw the disaster waiting inside her room. Olivia took in a breath before opening the door. She knew already that Monica had trashed her room. She had heard that much in Rachel's thoughts. But she wasn't prepared for what she actually saw when she pushed the door to her bedroom open. Inside, the room was almost unrecognizable. Not only were there objects strewn around, things knocked off of countertops and off shelves, but she had gone so far as to rip into pillows and slash the expensive wallpaper that decorated the room. "Oh, geez," Chris murmured as he stepped through the wreckage. He recognized some of the gifts he had given Olivia shattered on the ground. Olivia walked over to her open wardrobe, where her clothing lay in heaps on the floor. It was clear Monica had gone through every possible inch of the room, leaving absolutely nothing of Olivia's untouched. Olivia walked into her closet and stretched up on her tiptoes to pull a box from the uppermost shelf. Inside, she had hidden all of the luxury purses, belts, shoes, and other accessories she had purchased at vintage shops around town. These had been items specially curated by her that she knew would appreciate in value over time, based on the information she already had from her past life. She breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that the items remained untouched. She walked out of the closet, carefully holding the box, and saw Chris leaning over her desk. He had pulled her laptop out from its sleeve, carefully opening it. The screen had been cracked, but when he pressed the button, the computer still came to life. "I'm so sorry about all of this, Liv." Chris turned to her, shaking his head. "I promise you I'll do everything in my power to replace everything that has been destroyed." Olivia walked over to Chris, placing a hand lightly on his chest. "Thank you, but these things are all just things. At the end of the day, they're not really what matters." Chris smiled at Olivia, gently placing his hands over hers and holding them there for a moment. Eventually, Olivia and Chris made their way downstairs, Olivia still clutching the box of luxury goods in her arms. "Grandpa Jack, I now understand why Rachel was so adamant about having a maid clean the room before entering. The way it has been kept isn't suitable for anyone." Olivia addressed Grandpa Jack, but kept her eyes trained on Rachel, who attempted to look stunned. "How dare you, young lady?" Grandpa Jack stood up from where he sat, forgetting his mild-mannered act for Chef Theodore. "You may not live here anymore, but there's no need to talk like that." "I hardly blame you for what happened to the room, Grandfather. But if you don't believe me, go take a look for yourself." Olivia waved her hand towards the upper floor. "Olivia." Rachel stood now, eager to come to the defense of Grandpa Jack, always hoping to gain some kind of points with him. "The room has been cleaned every day by one of our maids, in hopes that you would someday return. If the room is not to your liking, we can talk to the maids who cleaned it. But please don't take this tone with your grandfather. He did nothing wrong." "Oh, you're very good," Olivia thought to herself as she listened to Rachel. "You've set up quite the alibi for your devil daughter, claiming the maids clean that room each day, when we all know that cannot be the case. Now it would be one of them who is blamed for the mess when Grandpa Jack finally sees the room." "Fine, if you're saying that it's the maids who destroyed my room, then so be it," Olivia sneered at Rachel. "Although I can't see why they would take the time to mess up only one room in the house, rather than just secretly steal the things of value in it." "Young lady, I think you're being a tad dramatic." Grandpa Jack stepped up to his granddaughter now. He had a feeling she was just trying to cause trouble like her father might encourage her if he were here now. "If the room is not to your standards of cleanliness, perhaps you should have been here all the while so that you could instruct our servants on how you would like them to tidy up." "Grandfather, I am not being dramatic, and I do not blame your staff's level of cleanliness." Olivia spoke with a firmer tone now. "The room is unrecognizable in its current state, and I highly recommend you take a look for yourself if you don't believe me." Grandpa Jack stared at the girl for a moment, unable to believe she was so comfortable taking such a tone with him. Then he huffed before turning to make his exit from the room, stomping his way upstairs to check on Olivia's claims. Rachel followed Grandpa Jack with her eyes. Then, unable to stand the suspense 1 second longer, she stood, first glaring at Olivia, then scurrying after her ex-father-in-law. "Dad, wait for me," she called after the old man. Olivia turned to Sven then. "Sven, would you mind pulling around the car? I don't think we'll be here much longer." "You got it." Sven hopped up and made his way outside, thankful for an excuse to get out in the fresh air. He abhorred drama and would do anything to avoid it. Olivia, on the other hand, wanted to have a front row seat for the spectacle that was currently awaiting her. She took a seat next to Chef Theodore and poured herself another cup of tea, her eyes trained on the stairwell as she waited for Rachel and her grandfather to return. Jack Johnson soon stood in the doorway to Olivia's room, mouth agape. Everything in the room was destroyed, upended, torn out of its place, or all three. "Unbelievable," he muttered as he took a few slow steps inside the room. Rachel hurried up behind him, madly pretending to be surprised as well. She put her hands to her cheeks. "How could this be? What happened here? Olivia's pristine room? I shudder to think." Rachel turned behind her and shouted, "Richard Coss! Someone bring Richard here!" Olivia rolled her eyes at Rachel's terrible acting. She's usually a better liar than this, but she must just be that flustered, Olivia thought with satisfaction. Soon Olivia followed Rachel and Jack into the bedroom. Jack kicked aside half a shattered wooden shelf. "This happened in my home, right under my nose. How much do I pay for security? And for this huge staff, and nobody knew?" He turned to Rachel, Olivia, and the couple of staff members who shrank farther back into the hallway. "Who's the bastard that has the guts to destroy my home like this while I'm standing in it? I want them to face me." Just then, Richard Coss rushed upstairs. He had been the butler in charge of the mansion staff since Olivia had gotten rid of his sinister predecessor, Hector Pugh, for everything he did to her in her past life. But Richard wasn't proving to be much better. Olivia didn't budge when Richard entered her bedroom, forcing him to bend his way awkwardly around her to approach Jack. "Sir, what has happened here?" Rachel butted in, making a big show of her outrage for Jack. "Richard, I should be the one asking you that. My stepdaughter Olivia's room has been absolutely thrashed. What monster would do this? You or your staff must know something." I don't know either, ma'am." Richard flushed, stammering. Normally composed, he kept smoothing his suit jacket nervously. Olivia, amused, peered into his thoughts. "It was Monica. You know it was Monica, we all do. Except for Mr. Johnson, it seems. I do wish I had time to prepare to get her out of this mess. I have an idea." Richard gasped like he had remembered something. "I remember now. It was always Lily Hahn who cleaned up Miss Olivia's room." Rachel eyed Richard. She could tell he was formulating a plan and sighed in relief. This wasn't the first time they'd been in on some cover-up to help Rachel or Monica save face, but the circumstances were usually a little less dire. Jack stamped a foot. "And who the hell is Lily Hahn?" "A new hire, sir," Richard responded, a little dim but enthusiastic. "I don't need her resume, Richard. I need her in front of me at once." Rachel gestured to Richard. "Quickly, call her in here." Richard hesitated. Olivia felt that familiar tingle at her temple as she read his thoughts. What was he up to? "Do I have enough time?" Richard was thinking. But Rachel hurried him along. "Come on, Richard, now!" Richard turned to Jack, then Rachel. "Lily is not working until later today. I must see if I can find—" "Richard, you will find this woman or you will be out of my home forever." Jack interrupted. He put on his scariest, quietest voice. Olivia knew it well. This shrewd, powerful businessman was accustomed to getting what he wanted. "Yes, sir," Richard sputtered, practically trembling. "I will have someone call her right away." "Get lost, you bastard." Jack savored the nickname like a threat. Richard had certainly never used it himself before, and had only seen Jack this angry on rare occasions. Richard sprang into action and hurried out of the room. Everyone was silent. Jack picked up a broken piece of porcelain, looked it over and tossed it aside, disgusted. "Someone is trying to provoke me. They must be. Why else would they cause such carnage and just leave it like this? They were either trying to get my attention or are just stupid. Olivia stifled a smile at this. Oh, she's stupid, all right. Rachel took a hesitant step toward Jack. Dad, watch your feet in here. And please calm down. Dad, please calm down. Jack imitated Rachel, mocking her. Why are you so calm? This house is under your care. And now look at what you let happen, you... Jack seemed like he wanted to say more, but glanced at Olivia and thought better of it. Rachel's eyes glittered. She was stung, even with where he'd stopped talking. But that didn't mean Olivia didn't get to know what Jack wanted to say. She gleefully concentrated on his mind, excited to hear him roast Rachel. This gauche, do-nothing bird brain is an embarrassment. Why did my son have to knock up such a simpering ditz who couldn't even keep him happy? The only thing worse than a wife is an ex-wife. She likes to parade around in my money, but is far past the age where it's cute. Hearing this, Olivia was surprised that she was a little taken aback. She knew her grandfather wasn't a good person, but hearing what rank misogyny was going on in his head was a little stunning. She actually felt a twinge of sympathy for Rachel. Rachel noticed as Olivia glanced in her direction and saw an expression she had not seen on Olivia's face before. Rachel realized with horror that it was pity. Olivia is pitying me? How dare this little brat feel bad for me? Rachel steeled her expression and straightened her spine, now looking determined to act as though Jack's mistreatment didn't bother her at all. Olivia felt like she had to break the silence. How long were they supposed to wait here? Grandfather, it's already so late. Why don't you go and rest? Richard will get a hold of whoever might be responsible, and we can talk to the staff tomorrow. Jack considered this. Besides, I shouldn't get home too late. My parents will be worried. Olivia wasn't sure if Jack would let her go, so she figured mentioning Michael and Victoria would help motivate Rachel to get her out of the mansion. As she expected, Rachel clenched her fists at her sides and looked furious at the mention of Michael and Victoria. But Jack was suspicious of Olivia's attitude. Why are you in such a hurry? Are you afraid? He gestured to Rachel. We're all family here, we're all friends. Somebody on the staff got in their head that they should cause some trouble by vandalizing your things for some reason. Once we talk to them and find out who the culprit is, you and your parents will sleep better. Olivia sighed. Grandpa Jack wasn't someone she should argue with lightly. You are right, Grandpa. Let's talk to them. But we don't even know when Richard might come back. You don't seem very emotional seeing your things like this, Jack said, poking through some of the wreckage. Downstairs, I thought you were exaggerating how bad it was for Chef Theodore's benefit. But look at this mess. If this had happened to my room when I was your age, I would have turned the whole estate upside down looking for answers about who did it and why. They all turned at the sound of Richard clearing his throat. He gently entered the room, picking his way into the small pieces of bare floor. Behind him, a wide-eyed maid followed in his footsteps. Her eyes were bloodshot, her face was pale, and she tightly wrung her hands in front of her body. Jack looked at her expectantly, but his face twisted into rage. And who the hell is this? Sir, this is Lily Hahn. She has not worked here long. Richard gestured to Lily. Lily, tell them what you told me. Jack snapped at her. Did you destroy this room? Yes, it was me. Lily bit her lower lip. There was so little blood in her face that Olivia wondered if this poor woman would pass out. And why was she lying? Olivia tried to focus her mind on the young woman's thoughts, but the snippets from her grandfather's internal monologue were too loud. This dumb, horse-faced little... Olivia had had enough of Jack thinking disgusting thoughts, and hoped she could piece this together without using his mind-reading. Rachel chimed in. Why did you do this? Our family's salary for housekeepers is the highest in the area. Olivia hasn't even been here lately. Why on earth would you smash up her room? Lily Hahn suddenly raised her head and looked at Olivia, but seemed to chicken out and looked away. To avenge my brother? Your brother? Jack blurted. And who the hell is he? Why am I being inundated with new help upon new help who I don't even know that are inexplicably bent on causing chaos? Olivia could not help herself but ask as well, though she looked at Rachel when she asked, "Who was your brother?" She came back to the Johnson family to take her own revenge. Even if this was an elaborate lie orchestrated by Richard, she could not imagine what past staff member Richard thought would plausibly want to take revenge on Olivia. Her conscience fluttered. Have I been guilty in the past myself? This feeling was quite strange. My brother was on staff with the Johnson family about a year or two ago. He was forced to leave by Miss Olivia because she lied about him. My brother's name is Gareth Hahn. Oh? Olivia's face darkened. She had almost forgotten about this Gareth Hahn. In her past life, Gareth disregarded her completely, not considering her worth his time. In this life, Gareth helped Monica lie about something or other that Olivia had supposedly done to offend Monica, but got caught, so Michael fired him. Interesting, Olivia continued. The one who fired your brother Gareth was my father. Why didn't you smash up the master bedroom? Why me? Jack, unsure of what to think, watched this discussion with curiosity. What a strange turn of events. I would not dare to touch the master bedroom, Lily said quickly and lowered her head. I was blinded by hatred when I decided to do this in the first place, and felt I had to do something, but I would not dare to touch anything belonging to Michael or Rachel. Forgive me. Olivia scoffed. I doubt you were blinded by hatred. Were you blinded by money, maybe? She turned her gaze to Richard. Lily shook her head vigorously. I don't know what you could possibly mean by that. Olivia rolled her eyes at Richard. I know Richard seems scary. He's your superior. He probably said a bunch of horrible things when he told you you had to lie for him, or threatened to fire you if you didn't. What? No. Lily, clearly afraid of Rachel, almost as much as she feared her rich, powerful employers, cried out in desperation. I just wanted to get revenge for my brother. I've been so angry for a long, long time about him getting fired, and I held Olivia responsible. But now my conscience can't bear being confronted with what I did to Miss Olivia's room, and I need to apologize. I am so, so sorry. I will give whatever money I have to repair the room, and then pay you back whatever remains as soon as I can earn it. And of course I'll resign. I will leave here and never come back. There was a silence as Olivia considered Lily's words. Jack watched Olivia for her reaction. Rachel stepped in tentatively. What an atrocious thing to do. But at least she has confessed and says she will pay for the damage. She can no longer work here, of course. Lily spoke up again, uncertain about Olivia's lack of response. I beg you, miss, to accept my apology. She turned to Jack. And you, sir, I hope my confession will help you put this behind you. Olivia chewed this over, not believing a word Lily was saying.